Hey, everybody. Quarterfinal action continues in the World Cup on Saturday down in Miami. It's Norway and England. It's Erling Haaland versus Harry Kane. It's very good stuff. We'll talk about all that in just a second. I'm Bruce Marshall. First of all, though, a couple of quick housekeeping reminders before we get into talking about Norway and England. Don't forget, click that subscribe button on your screen there. Make sure you get all of our Wager Talk TV videos. Also, don't forget a special offer we've got going right now. 3 free days of my picks, $69. We'll add 3 free days on top of that. That makes 6 days for $69. We're having a good run in Major League Baseball, pretty good, and then World Cup as well. Remember, 3 days for $69. We'll add 3 days on top of that. That's 6 days of my picks, just $69. Okay, let's get into this one down in Miami. Steamy Miami, it should be, with that 5 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff on Saturday. Norway and England. Lots of EPL flavor here on the Norway side, of course, with Erling Haaland. We'll talk about him more in a second. And England surviving that tremendous test against Mexico last Sunday. Pretty good win for Norway, too, against Brazil. We can see the prices on the crawl at the bottom of the screen. England is the favorite here to advance at minus 200. Price is a little bit better on just the 90-minute result for England if you want England there, or if you want the Norway side, you're getting a plus price there, a pretty big plus price on the 90-minute on the three-way, and also to advance a pretty big price as well there. Norway's been a very interesting story in the tournament thus far, and it's been mostly around Haaland. I mean, he is right neck and neck with Lionel Messi for the Golden Boot with 8 goals. He has been doing everything for Norway, and even in matches where it doesn't look like he's all that involved, all of a sudden he pops up there. He is scoring a big goal or two, like he did in that Sunday 2-1 win over Brazil. One thing about Norway here, actually, I go back to the one game that everybody's kind of forgotten. That was at the end of the group phase there, when Norway went with sort of a reserve side there against France, and actually gave France some problems. I mean, Haaland didn't play, and most of the first stringers didn't play, but they gave France some problems. And even though it was a 4-1 loss, it shows the system works, and they move the ball very well. And when they get the first stringers out there, it's been some pretty good stuff. Haaland, of course, Martin Odegaard. There's another face familiar to EPL fans from Arsenal at midfield. Big front line. We've talked about this before with Haaland, 6'5", Alexander Sorloth, Atletico Madrid, 6'5", and all, but it as well, and a few other big guys as well. So from set pieces, they can be pretty scary. But it's been Haaland, the one who's been keeping Norway afloat here. I do think, though, back to the round of 16 match on Sunday against Brazil, that it was a match for Norway. Listen, if Bruno Guimaraes takes that penalty a little bit better in the 13th minute, Brazil goes up 1-0. Nyland made the save, so good for him, but it was a weak attempt by Guimaraes. And that great through ball that Vinicius played through to Endrick in the second half when the score was still 0-0. All Endrick had to do was round the goalie, though, around Nyland. Instead, he panicked, took a hurried shot with his left foot, and he missed pretty badly. So those are a couple of gilt-edged chances that Brazil had that would have turned that game around. Now, it happens in every game like that, I know, where you have missed opportunities, but those are pretty glaring on the Brazil side, and it allowed Norway to hang in the game, and then you've got Haaland on your side. You can end up winning it late. I still don't know about Nyland and goal. He's had a decent tournament thus far, but coming into the tournament, he was considered maybe one of their weaker links. But remember, these guys scored 37 goals, allowed just 5 in their qualifiers. They took apart a lot of teams, blew out several teams. Italy combined 7-1 over 2 legs, 2 matches against Italy in the qualifying phase. So they're lethal. They're dangerous, and England better be on its toes. I do think, though, and this is not just recency bias, me talking here. That match Sunday down at the Azteca with England was maybe the most pulsating match I've ever seen, and maybe one of the best matches I've ever seen. For what England to do to go down there into the Azteca, into that cauldron, and considering the altitude, considering the hostile atmosphere there, considering the fact that Mexico had only lost twice in international games in the history of the Azteca, 89 previous games back to 1966, and going down 10 men midway in the second half there, or before midway in the second half, about the last half hour of the match, after Joao Quanza got sent off. it was heroic, and I really got new respect for Thomas Tuchel with what he did for England to hang on. He didn't waste too much time after England went down to 10 men. They had the lead at that point. Now, they did extend it a little bit more just after that when Anthony Gordon was pulled down in the box and Kane converted the penalty. Of course, Mexico came back, and Kane got penalized in the box, and Mexico scored from the spot to cut the margin to 3-2. But hanging on, Tuchel didn't hesitate then, go straight 5 at the back. He made substitutions, defense for attackers, bring on Dan Burn, bring on Jed Spence. He told the guys, look, Spence and on the corners are just watch for the crosses coming in the box. You 3 guys in the back, including Burn, just defend with your everything you got. And with Jordan Pickford also coming up very big in goal. England held on. Man, that was something to watch that, the way they hung on the last half hour there, and that onslaught that Mexico kept coming at them with. Now, I think it was pretty good for England not to have to play a game within a few days after that. Even, Wednesday or Thursday probably would have been too quick to recover from that absolutely exhausting game on Sunday down in Mexico City. But here on Saturday, almost a full week, I think the recovery is fine. We mentioned a couple of these guys. We mentioned Anthony Gordon out there in the wing. I thought Gordon and Bukayo Saka, I know there's a lot of talk about Kane and Bellingham, but I thought Gordon and Saka really played extremely well out on the wings there. They're getting the crosses into the box, and they were absolutely heroic in that matchup, as everybody was on the England side against Mexico on Sunday night. We mentioned Pickford, too, in goal. He was more aggressive coming out and very, very proactive in goal. This is the best I've seen Jordan Pickford look in a long time. Certainly better, at Everton, we see that sometimes from him, but this is on the big stage. And even though he gave up a couple of goals, one of them was on a spot kick there, they were under supreme pressure, and he came up with a lot of big saves. That was a heroic effort there, and I really got new respect for Thomas Tuchel and his moves, and they worked out just perfectly for him. And he wasn't afraid to push the envelope there, and he got rewarded for it. So what do we think is going to happen here on Saturday in Miami? I think the first thing you look at is the total here, and 2.5 goals. Now this price has gone up some. It was a little bit lower earlier in the week. We're seeing later in the week climbing up to -140 or so on the over. All of Norway's matches have gone to 3 goals or more in the tournament, so I think over is definitely the way to go. The fact Norway is not going to fall back into a low block against England the way Ghana did, the way Panama did, and the way Congo did for much of that match too at the top of the KO phase. So this is going to be a more box-to-box game up and down the field, and England will be able to score. Now, with Haaland the other way, they may be able to do some business too, but that 2.5 goals doesn't look like it's too much to clear to me. And I'd almost look, we're mentioning, on the crawl at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the alternate total there at 3.5 goals, +175. I think that might be worth a look as well. England, I think, advances out of this, though, mainly because now it's too simplistic to say that Kane and Erling Haaland will cancel out one another. But I think, bear with me here as I expand upon this a bit more, that might be sort of the case. And the fact I like England's other options a bit more beyond Kane. And we mentioned Bellingham before. He's a big match player. He's come up big in this tournament thus far. We mentioned Saka. We mentioned Gordon. There's Declan Rice. I think there's more ways for England to do it, more guys who can step up than for Norway, which has played extremely well, but it is still mostly a Haaland-centered offense, and it is asking a lot of him to outscore England here. I don't think it happens. So there's my recommendations. It'll be an over 2.5 goals, and it will also be England on the 3-way at a pretty fair price there, -110. I don't think that's bad at all. Some of those correct scores are interesting as well. You get some good prices there on a 2-1 England, 3-2 England got a very good price. But I think as far as flyers, a little bit more aggressive picks here to take a shot in a few flyers here. How about that alternative total over 3.5 goals? I think that's worth a look at +175, and maybe Bellingham to score at +275. He's come up big all the way. So wouldn't surprise me at all. Also, I could see Erling Haaland getting Norway's goal here or 2 but his goal price at plus 110, not too bad either. That's what I'd be looking at. You can see the recommendations on the crawl at the bottom of the screen there. Okay, we'll be back later on to take a look at more World Cup action. Don't forget, as always, click the comment box there if you have any comments for me. I'd always love to hear from you. And also remember those special deals we got going right now, including 3 days of my picks, $69. We'll add 3 days free. That's 6 days for $69 for my picks. Pretty good deal there. So until next time, more World Cup coming up for you soon. It's a goodbye from me.